Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day two of the 2026 March Madness. Now, just a quick review. If you remember, this is what we had done from the previous video, and also I don't think the audio is okay in the first video. So I'll just try to preview some of the things that we did from our last lesson from day one. So we're working on this double story structure. It's a residential house. This is something that my friend and I collaborated on. He did some architecture drawings. I did the structure. Actually, I did not do the structure. I'll do the structural drawings in this series. Okay. So if you look at it, it's not a very bad model. It's got some certain components. It's got curtain walling. This side of the curtain walling doesn't actually have any mullions. So this white stuff that you're seeing here is called the mullion. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to create similar just so I can add it over there and here and here also at the top. And then I'll control S to save. So what we have this model, and a certain portion of it, a certain section of it is a double story. You can see a concrete slab over there. And then the other section or the annexures looks like a garage. Not too sure. Might be a garage, might not be. Yes. So to confirm, let's try to look at the floor plans. In the previous video, we actually put this on a paper, so we spent a lot of time trying to make it look more presentable for submission to either the person that's going to be reviewing the work before you formally take it to the client or to the client itself. Depending on the situation, if you're doing private jobs, then maybe you might have a friend look at it or look over it. If you're working in a consulting firm, then you probably have like a principal, either architect or principal structure engineer that will be looking at um, your work before you can formally submit it to the client or to the council or whatever. So when you look at this section, I divided my Revit into two sections. This is the properties, this is the project browser section. So if I click on the pad foundation, this is how it looks like. And these isolated pads, the footing, as you can see, they're spanning from the second grid line number 2 up until grid line number 5. There's nothing on grid line number 1 because grid line number 1, if you see, if I go to the finished floor section over here, grid line number 1 only has this small annexure. Actually, it's not a garage, it's like a 7 square or something. So the isolated pads sit on a different level, and we have click 1, right click, select similar in entire project, and when you click on this down button, you see it gives you the count or the number, the quantity that we have in this project. We have 10. Alternatively, you can count them individually as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the isolated part foundation, as you can see. The second part is the strip footing or the strip foundation. Um, if you're not so familiar, if you're not so, uh, if you do not know how to create this model, you can let me know and then maybe we can print it out and then we can start from scratch. But for the purposes of this video, maybe that's something that we can do. For the purposes of this video, I'll just show you the floor plans and I'll show you how to import this information into a structural analysis software such as Proctor. You can do the same for ETABS, or you can also do the same for robot structure, depending on whichever that you personally have used these three. Um, this video is coming to you. You're watching this video from Zambia. A lot of structural consulting firms in Zambia actually use Procon. I've used it a little, but I'm not so good at it. But I know how to work around my way with Proter, Robot, and ETABS. So as you can see, we are viewing this information on street footing. It's slightly higher. Let me show you. So on the section drawing, when you look at the section there, you can see that the footings or the pad foundations and these stub columns actually they sit at minus 1,500 from the finished floor, and the finish or the ground floor. Okay, finished floor, ground floor. So the finished floor is the concrete finish floor. The ground floor is the earth. So for example, if I do this topo surface, this is the natural ground floor or the ground floor, depending on whether or not it has been tempered with. It's natural if no backfilling has been done. But if it's been worked on, maybe after some time it will become natural. But if alterations have been made, then in that particular case, it's just the ground floor. However, this slab that you're looking at here, let me highlight it. The one selected in blue, the one that's showing the blue color. When you click on it like that, this will be what will be referred to as the finished floor level. Okay, so someone has joined. Okay. Hi, Nathan. Good to see you again. So my apologies for taking so long. Um, I was trying to uninstall and install ProtoStructure, but I've managed now. As you can see here, we can go about our business and we can start.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Sir,
Nathan.
are you there?
Yeah, hi, Nathan. Can you hear me? Hello? Hi, Nathan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can get you.
Okay, so hopefully you can see the screen.
Sorry?
I'm saying hopefully you can see the screen. I'm sharing the screen so that you can be able to see it. Confirm whether or not you can see it. Can you see the Revit application?
No, I can only see the name there, MP.
Okay, so
Not
what I'm
able to
going to
get to it.
okay, so I'll stop sharing and then I'll start sharing again. Entire screen, I'll click on it and I'll share. Hopefully you can see now. Can you see?
It's just black. Nothing now, complete.
Really?
Just
Okay,
brings the team's name. I think this is team there. Just
okay,
showing teams connected, MP.
okay. So
Stop
I'll stop
sharing.
sharing and I'll start sharing again. Entire screen, not just the window, but the entire screen. And I'll say share, and then I'll click on something else. Can you see now?
Yes, yes, that's good.
Okay, so now you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just do about this is 2207 by 2210. I just want to do a 3 minute review of what we did before we do something new. So I was explaining, I was saying this is a project that a friend and a friend and I collaborated on. So as you can see, it's got certain elements of a double story and also a single annexure. The main building actually is a two-story building. And then the annexure over here looking like a servant's court. I don't know why it doesn't. Actually, it just has one window. I don't know why it doesn't have any ventilation over this side or the front, but it should, And so that's the single story building. So these elements that we're seeing over here is like a glass, it's got the curtain walling, and then of course we've got these masonry walls, and we've got the RC for reinforced concrete slab, and this is a suspended slab. If it's in the air or it's been supported, it's called a suspended. But however, if it's here, like this ground floor slab, this one is called the foundation slab because it's resting on in America, they'll call it the slab on grade or SOG in short. Depending on the type of book that you're using, they'll call it the foundation slab. Other people will call it the slab on grade. And grade meaning the earth, the grade. So this one is being supported by the earth, but this one is not being supported by the earth. So it's called a suspended slab, and so on and so forth. And this type of slab, actually, if it's got any beams in it, it should be a solid slab, right? If it didn't have any beams in it, it would be either be like a flat slab or a waffle, you know. So carrying on, we did this. My friend did the architectural second part, and then the purpose of this video is trying to see how best we can prepare the structural drawings, either for submission to the client or for council approval, so that building can commence, right? And then if I tilt it in Revit, to tilt, you hold down Shift and the middle mouse button, and then you move like that. We can see it's got a very beautiful foundation. And when I zoom in, I can see that actually the footing or the pads, you can call them footings, you can call them pads, and these are like isolated pads because they are one. Each one is like one, so it's isolated. If they were happening like two with two columns, those would be like combined, right? So we can see that also this is the strip footing. We can see that the isolated pads sit lower or they go deeper than the strip footing or the strip foundation supporting the foundation walls, right? Because imagine just building these walls and they're just sitting on the earth. It wouldn't work properly. You need the weight or the loading of these walls to be distributed evenly into the soil for better bearing. Otherwise, the building would like the settlement wouldn't be it would be massive. It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be a stable structure, to put it short. So these are some of the components that we see. This is in the 3D view. If here I've got the properties section in Revit. Here I've got the project browser. Usually, if you're opening Revit for the first time or you're a first time user, these will be joined together. Like the properties will be on top, the project browser will be right below the properties. If you like, you can have them in this way where you just pull it. So, for example, it can sit there like that, creating more room if you wanted to. But then, these properties has got so much information. Personally, I much rather prefer to have them like that. So here, what I'll do is I'll click on the part foundation, and then as you can see, it says isolated part foundation layout. When you look at it, it's got grid lines, and these grid lines are the x, and it's like an axis or the xy plane. So you've got the ones that are moving in the y direction, and these are numerical. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and you've got the ones that are going in the X direction, and these are alphabetical. You've got A, B, C, D, E. These are extremely important for identification. For example, just by looking at this isolated pad, I can identify it as A2. You know, I wouldn't have to number it if I didn't want to, but I would say footing A2, then we'll be speaking the same language, and each one of us would understand each other properly. Also, the column, this one would say this is column A2, and then everyone will understand each other. So, amongst the other structural benefits of having grid lines, that's one of them. Another advantage of having always incorporating grid lines, even if you're just using like, if it doesn't have any structural foundations, it just has, for example, walls. Suppose we didn't have any footings or pads, it would be necessary to have these words identified by the grid lines. They help in setting out from an architecture standpoint, but from a structural standpoint, most of these structural elements are identified by their axis. And also, there's a thing called nodo, like a node, and also placement. Some softwares won't allow you to place structural elements without grid lines. So if you wanted to add grid lines, you would go to the architectural tab here and you'd use the grid function over here on the data. But primarily, this is not our focus. Upon request, if anyone watching this video, if you'd like to like recreate this structure from the beginning, incorporating all these structural and architectural elements, you can put in a request, and then we can like print print the drawings out and then start from scratch while looking at the drawing. But for this particular video, our purpose is to try to import what we did from last time. Try to import the drawing from Revit, the DXF file from Revit, and import it into Proto structure. So here, when I click on the isolated pad, I can see that from 2 to 5, I've got these structure elements. On 1, there's nothing. Why there isn't anything is because, for example, when I go to the finished floor, this structure that we're looking at in 3D, it's just a single story structure. So it can be supported only by the strip footings. I don't necessarily need to incorporate any isolated pads. That would be like an overkill. It's an over design. Not necessary. So that's why these footings or these isolated pads start from 2 and they end 5. On 1, there's nothing. So this is my isolated pad foundation layout. If I go to the strip footing layout here, the strip foundation layout, I can see the strip footing supporting these walls for this single story, and that's good, right? Depending on your, I don't know, your strength in soil mechanics, you can be able to determine the thicknesses, and also maybe like a geotechnical report will help you. You can be able to determine the sizes of these footings, the strip footing or the isolated. If you have a new site, like if it's virgin land, you can engage geotechnical engineer, and they can perform some geotechnical tests, such as maybe like the CBR, the California bearing ratio, and those dynamic cone penetration tests or cone penetration tests, and so on and so forth, and maybe like Heidelberg limit and plasticity index. All those they can be able to determine the bearing capacity for the type of soil that's on the site that you intend to start building on, and from there you can use that bearing capacity to design. So this is the strip foundation layout, and then this is the finish floor layout. It shows the elements on the finish floor of the ground floor, and then this is the first floor. It shows, as you can see this side, the finished floor shows the elements because of the cut plane. Shows there's a bed and so on and so forth. But the first floor doesn't show those because now the cut plane has gone up and you can only see the roof, right? Okay, so this is it. This is the information from our short review. I don't know if Nathan, if you've got any questions regarding this matter.
No, everything is okay. But then it would be nice to recreate it just like not necessarily from scratch, but just using maybe the layout.
Uh huh.
This is the layout and to try to I would want to practice myself. I send it
I,
to you, do a review.
I think that's something that we can do in the next video. I think we'll do that in the next video. But for this video, let me just show you how you can import in Proton. So a majority of what we did from day one, from the first video, was just trying to clean all this information up and put it on sheets or papers, A1 sheets, so that we can either present to the client or to the council or present to the person that's in charge of reviewing these drawings. Like if you work in a consulting firm, you will have, for example, here you have something like drawn by, checked by. Usually, a person that's checking is like the principal engineer, like the owner of the firm, because they're the one, their license is at stake. So whatever it is that an associate or a structural engineer prepares, the principal needs to confirm that what they've done is the correct thing before the final drawings can be submitted either to the client or to the council for construction purposes. So most of the things that we did in video number day one was primarily just presentation. We were trying to make all these flows presentable by putting them on sheets. So we've got the floor plan where we've got the foundation layout, the strip, the ground, and the first floor. And then we also had the sheet number 102 that had elevations that can help the builder or the contractor know, for example, the overall height of the building, you know, and the length, the width, also can be able to know how much to excavate. This information can also be taken from the section drawing. Like if you create a section, it will show you also this information. So if we needed to prepare any details, maybe we'll do them in the next video. We can also place them here, or we can have a new sheet just for details like structural details such as maybe the rebar or connection, or maybe a, a pad stone, and so on and so forth. Or the slopes, if it was a concrete roof, the kind of slopes that we needed to do in order to allow for water drainage, if it was an RC slab for the roof. So we exported these drawings. We exported them in a DXF file, and then if I double click on this drawing, it, it's a DXF file. I've set up my DXF files to be opened by AutoCAD. So here's my AutoCAD, and this is the exported um, file. We can see, for example, the layers there. It's only got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers, right? And if I needed to know which layer, each one of them is on, I'll just select, and it shows me here. This is S grid, meaning structure grid. I escape to deselect, select that. This is the ID. This is being referred to as the identification. So this on its own is just the lines, a grid. This is the ID, the identification. So that's for my Y's. Let me confirm for my X's. Also similar. Okay, cool. So all my layers, good to separate your lines by putting them on different layers. So if I select this shows me that it's on the annodenes, meaning annotation dimensions, right? I deselect. If I click the footing, it shows me structure foundation. I know what layer that's on. If I click here, it shows me structural columns, right? One of the benefits of putting these things on separate layers, if this was a very big drawing and I needed to select each one of them, maybe to change some properties, all I needed to do is just click one, right click and say select similar. Let's see, select similar. Oh, it's only selected one. I don't know why, but it needed to select everything on this layer. Also, here's just selected one. Ideally, it selects everything. Maybe because it's a DXF, I'm not sure. Okay, so now I'll go to my Prota, and then this is the interface for Prota structure. You're using it for the first time, it looks like it's a lot of information, but the more that you use it and the more that you practice.
So it's, I don't know if it's my screen or my network, but it's just stuck on the Revit picture. Not showing
Okay,
you put the screen.
okay, let me try to stop sharing, and then I'll start again. I'll select the entire screen and I'll share, and then I'll click on my Prota. This Prota 2021, good too, easy to use, and also the output documentation is quite brilliant.
It's still blank.
Still blank. Maybe it might be your network. So what I'll do is I'll try to make it short, this video. Let's see. Right now I'm
Oh,
on,
yeah, the network.
this is like 27 minutes. So I'll try to make it not more than 40 or 45 so that maybe you can just watch it on YouTube. I'll try to upload it as quickly as I can. Maybe before sleeping, you can just quickly watch it, and then tomorrow you can follow through.
Sure thing.
Yeah, so Porter, just like any other computer software, Windows software, it's got these buttons uh, that have been classified, they've been put together, they're called tabs. So it's got a built-in setout, modeling, and so on and so forth. So when you open it, this will be your screen or your interface. And it gives you here in the start page, gives you two options. You can either open an existing project. In fact, if you've used it before, or as you'll see in the subsequent videos, the more that we'll use it, it will show us some of the projects that we're working on. But because I had uninstalled it and just installed it, doesn't have anything. However, if you got like files from a friend, Prota files, and you put them on your like desktop, you can open those by clicking Open Project. But if you are trying to start a new project, you just click on New Project. So for this particular video, just be starting a new project, we click on New Project, and then this New Project dialog box, it pops up. So before you can even go do anything, it will ask you to provide a project code or project name. So this is day two. I'll say day two, day underscore two. Here in blue, it tells you the available characters. So you can use capital letters from A to Z, small letters A to Z. You can use numerical numbers, underscore, and a dash or hyphen, meaning you cannot choose any spaces. It's like computer coding. So you cannot choose any spaces in the name. So for this particular project, I'll just say day two. And then it provides some templates. These are some of the templates that you can find, building codes that you can find from different parts of the world. A lot of people in Zambia, in Africa, use the British code, but it was superseded by the Euro code. So depending on also on the consortium firm that you work with, you can either be using the British code or you can be using the Euro code. I recommend that you download some informational books or texts on these. These are quite handy, very important to use. So BS 8110, I know from experience this is concrete. I think 5950 is like steel, and you got timber, you got masonry, you got different building codes depending on the material. So because we'll be using reinforced concrete, we select BS 8110, just click on it and say OK. When you click on OK, it takes you to this interface with the working area over this side, and then some buttons on the left. They're like trees. So when you click on the tree, it takes things up. You click down, it drops the information. So for example, I can do that, and as you can see, I've closed up a lot of things. If I click on the top one, the structure, it should have wrote everything up. Don't know why. Anyway, nonetheless, the axes, if you put axes in it, views, you can either work in 2D or you can work in 3D. To work in 3D, you right click and you say change to 3D. You can print some reports, you can detail previews. Here, the stories will be generated by the floor height that you are going to in, uh, put. So, for example, when I click on this drop down, ideally, Proto want to give you two stories. This story 00 is where the pads will sit, and then this other story says ST3. This is like the floor height, it's 3 meters high. So later on, I'll show you how to edit story height because you cannot always work in three. This will depend on the client and also the usage of building. You can have a foyer that's probably like 4 meters, so you need to change that. So here you can either start putting your like grid lines in Porter, which is tedious. It's an option, you can do it, it's there. You just go to building modeling and you go to here, orthogonal axis or grid lines, and you start placing them. That's an option. Or you can import like what we're going to do. So I'll go to building setout here and I'll say here on quick start, it's got an IFC import and it's also got a DXF import. And it also has, I don't know whether this uses a plugin, it says Revit import. So, depending on the type of protostructure that you're using, you can actually import a whole model from Revit. So for me, I'll use this DXF import. I'll click on it, and then it brings me this DXF dialog box. And then right here it says load DXF, meaning locate your DXF file from whichever folder it's on your machine. It can be on the desktop from a flash disk. I highly recommend it's on your desktop or in your documents folder. So you say load, and then for me, I know where it is. It's a desktop March Madness day one teaching material DXFs, and it says Salma. So I'll click on it and I'll open, and then Proto is smart enough to get some information from the file. If you remember from the Revit software, we were working in millimeters. How I know this is because if I wanted to, I can just type UN for units, and then it shows me that, oh, the length is in millimeters. So I know for a fact I'm working in millimeters. That's one way to know. And also, this is a very small project. We cannot be talking about 16,000 meters. That's that's not possible. So another way you can find out what units you're working on. Also in AutoCAD, just start typing UNITS for units. You click, takes you to a drawing units, shows you you're working in millimeters. Another way, just go to the dimension there, select from there to there, and then maybe try to match properties. Select this dimension. It shows you it's 4,300. Also, anyway, so that's one way you can know what you need. So Proto is smart enough to get this information from the DXF file. It shows you here unit of file. You've been working in millimeters. There's a beam connectivity tolerance. How well the beam connects to a column shows you 500. Story just as one story, and all this other information. Here, most important, you can assign layers or you can use the existing ones. So from the AutoCAD there, I've shown you how you can know what layers are which and where they're coming from. So here it shows you, you can add, you can select or deselect. And here, some of the members are, you got the grid IDs and you got the columns. Unfortunately, there's no option for foundations because foundations you'd have to design them. So if you had any walls from your DXF, Porter might be able to pick them. If you had assigned any beams, it might pick them and so on and so forth. So the layer is this grid, the text is this grid, the columns is structural columns. So we're good. We go to the import button and then it runs this operation. And then when you go through this information, at the bottom there it says operation completed and it says no pad for footing, no, obviously no error. If there was an error, it would have shown you because here it says columns are imported successfully. If you wanted to, you can print out the log, so on and so forth. You can view it. Comes as a TXT text file. Yeah, but that's not so important. So I close and then I take a look. It's jumbled up some of them. If you remember, our Y's were numerical and our X's were alphabetical. If I wanted to, I can place them back to back. I'll place that over there, and then on the other side, I can place my Revit file, and then I'll be able to clean it up before I actually get started. So to clean it up, let's see, where am I? Okay, I'm 37 minutes. Okay. So to clean it up, just so that the information that's being presented in Prota is similar to information that we're working on in Revit. It shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. You just by just seeing, you can tell that oh, this says A1, but here in Revit it says 1. This grid line says A2, Revit says 2. So you can either change the information in Proto or you can change in Revit. Personally, I want to match what is in Revit. So what you do, select select left select the one that you wish to change. And as you can see, Proto is smart enough to have these. So it shows you the axes that are in here, and it shows you what kind of elements are here. So there, columns, it's got all these columns. No shear walls because there's no drop down. So when you click on one, it shows you in blue. It shows that oh, you've selected axis number A1. So now I don't want it to say A1 anymore. So I'll right click and I'll go to the properties and I'll remove that A. Or I can just highlight everything and just say 1. And then I'll update and close. So there it also changes. So I'll do this now quickly. I hope you'll be able to follow through. Left click, right click, properties, 2, update, close. Same thing for A3. I just wanted to say 3, 4, so on and so forth. 4, 5, so on and so forth. 5, update, close. Okay, we're good. For the Y direction, we're good. X direction, Just by looking at it, I want to clean out some stuff. This is not there. I'll delete it. Just select it and delete it. This should have been like a dimension. It should have assumed this was an axis, but that's not the case. So go back to Proton and then we can count them. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are only 5. Some of these are not there. Let's see which one is not there. One, two, three, four. This is not a relevant. A D. I think this one is relevant for structured drawing. And also E is okay. So the first one is A. So select it, right click, delete 6, update, and now this is A. B, I don't think there's anything there between. So this one needs to go. Just select it and delete it, and there it's gone. This one will be B. A7, we rename it to B. Update. Okay. Also, the next one, as you can see, it's supporting 1C7. So this is C. Select C, update, close. Cool. How about this one, the D? This is the one that's just for the purposes of using the. This one is just helping us on strip putting D, as you can see, for this wall over here. When setting out, we can measure. So we do not need it here in port down. No structure elements will be sitting on it. Hey. So this is D. I'll select it, then delete it. Also, this one is not important. No structure elements. However, this one is. I think this is our E. So we're remaining with 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So this one I'll name it as E. E update. Another thing, I do not like how some of them are misaligned. Actually, just one is misaligned. So I'll click on it and then I'll say stretch. Stretch it from there to match that one. Now they're in the same line. Do the same for this other side. Stretch, click there, like that. Okay. So now we're good to go. So now having imported, I control S to save. And then now what I can do is I can go to views, click on views. I'll right click and I'll change to 3D. And then we have this information. So to rotate in Porter is different than from the way you do it to rotate in Revit. In Revit, you control Shift and the mouse button. In Porter, you long press your right button mouse, and you just click. But nonetheless, all the same. Also, like Revit, when you select one item, it will rotate around that thing. It's like it's rotating around the center of axis for that element you selected. If I select that one, just escape, select this, it's rotating along this. If you wanted to, you can have two views. For example, you can tell them. So you can tell them vertical, horizontal, like that. Okay, so maybe you needed to create one. Go to plan. You can create a view here. a plan view. So now you see you've got two. And then you can change one of these to 3D. So this one becomes 3D and then this one becomes 2D or vice versa. And then Proto is smart enough to, like, when you select one, it shows you which one you selected in here. If you select this one, see how it changes, switches. So that's how you import and that's how you add or delete or rename axes in Proto. I think we can end here. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to like how to add stories, right? Before you can start modeling, you need to know how many stories you need to have. So this is it for now. This is a clean drawing. We are using BS8110. We control S to save. So those are some of the basics of Proto. If there are any questions, I can take them now. Athan, I hope you're still there. Any questions?
I was able to follow. Yeah, I'm sure once I watch the video, I will just like work on everything. But I was able to follow just from what you were saying using network as
Okay. And then, did your connection come back to normal? Like, were you able to see the screen?
just came back now. So as I'm saying, I was able to follow
Ah,
just doing it from what you were saying. Then it came back just recent to see what I've done. Maybe I just need to watch the video and just fix on some few mistakes I've made.
okay. So, just to monitor your progress, I would like you to just take a screenshot of what you're doing and just share it in the group so that I can be assured that you're actually following. So, this video will be live. I'll stop recording now and I'll quickly upload it on YouTube, and then you can just watch it like rapidly. Then you can follow through tomorrow.